HR works for the company, not the employees, it does have a basis. Hi, I'm Angela Murray, SHRM SCP, SPHR, and your favorite HR exam coach. Today we're going to dive into a pretty taboo topic, but I feel like it's important that we address this because, like it or not, it is becoming a very recognizable hashtag. It is gaining some traction, and there is a perception of truth, and that is HR is not your friend. Let me tell you, one thing I like about Gen Z is they say what everybody else is thinking. They say what they see, they don't sugarcoat, they give you the cold, hard truth. And that forces us to take an inward look at ourselves. It forces us to take a look at our actions and address those things. So in today's video, I'm going to address some of the common ideas about HR that might be hard to hear, but it does open up important dialogue. So let's get started. There seems to be the idea that there is a conflict of interest on the part of HR. And to be quite honest, you can hardly blame people for this perception. I mean, a conflict of interest is when professional responsibility collides with personal interest, because that erodes objective decision making. Now, let's look at that from the outside looking in approach. Is it HR responsibility to investigate employee complaints? Yes. Are we being paid by the company? Yes. Do we depend on that payment for our own personal well-being? Also, yes. So the idea that HR works for the company, not the employees, it does have a basis. It may not be valid, but it does have a basis. What HR professionals need to relate to the employees is that while it is true that the company's interest is our most important responsibility, the employees are the company's most important resource. So by default, they really are equally as important to us. Without employees, we don't have a job. There's no reason for us to get up and come to work. So while it might seem like a conflict of interest, employees really are our job's security. So we work as hard for them as we are working for ourselves. Another idea that's adding to the HR is not your friend discussion is the perception of bias towards managers. And I think what's perpetuating that idea is that sometimes it can seem that employees are being labeled as the problem when we do see that there are clear leadership issues. And if we're being honest, most of the time, HR is just as frustrated as the employees. We see the issues, but we are the advisors of the organization. Most of the time, we don't always have the authority to make definitive disciplinary decisions. And that's especially true when it comes to leadership. If leadership is the person being investigated, we kind of have our hands tied. Most of the times it calls for another member of leadership to actually okay the discipline, and it gives the employees the idea that HR is not on the employee's side. And then on the flip side, when the manager or the supervisors decide to terminate employees, it can seem like it's accomplished a lot easier, a lot faster. There are no barriers. And once again, that is because that directive is coming from leadership. So once an investigation substantiates the claim that leadership makes about employees, there's nothing preventing HR from carrying out the discipline or the termination. But when it's the other way around, we have to get senior leadership on board to discipline or terminate another manager. So it does create the perception that HR is somehow skewed or biased towards managers. One way that HR professionals can combat this is with documentation. Document investigations from beginning to end and document your recommendation and the subsequent actions of leadership. If leadership doesn't follow your advice, run it up. Run it as far up the chain as you possibly can. That is advocating for the employee, and it is important, but it does require you to put yourself in the line of fire. Pushing back against leaders, that can be intimidating. I mean, nobody wants to lose their job. Nobody wants to be labeled a problem. But sometimes it's necessary. So when employees need protection, they should be protected. We are the people to protect them. When employees need support, they should be supported. And as the bridge between the business and the employees, that is HR's responsibility. Now, I don't want to put it all on HR. We've talked about our responsibility, but also the company has a responsibility. If we want to turn around this perception, it starts at the top. It starts with leadership. Companies have to have a commitment to unbiased decisions. They have to be committed to fair treatment. They need to have a systematic process in accordance with HR guidance. And we should be the subject matter experts. Any deviation from the process should not be taken lightly. Put these guidelines in place to protect the most valuable resource that we have, and that is the employees. First, let me just say, employees aren't always right. Nobody's always right. So sometimes they don't have a full picture. They don't know why decisions are being made. They don't know why we're doing what we're doing. So sometimes the claims that they aren't being taken seriously is just based on the fact that they didn't get their way. Now, with that being said, we are busy. There is a lot to do in HR, regardless of the function, but we do have a responsibility to employees. So when they come to us with a problem, we should be genuinely concerned. Now, I know sometimes it's tempting to just push them to get the story out so that you can move on and get the rest of your work done. Or sometimes we just want to brush them off because we consider it to be a small complaint. But we can't do that. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to stop everything every time an employee comes in. But at the very least, you should try to triage the situation to decide if it needs immediate attention or if it's something that can wait. If you decide it can wait, give the employee your undivided attention. Be transparent with them. Let them know, I'm in the middle of a task. This has a 4 p.m., 3 p.m. deadline, but I want to set aside some time with you for tomorrow so that I can give you the attention that this needs. Employees understand deadlines. They understand responsibility. They understand duty. They have some of the same exact drivers that we have. I mean, we work for the same company. They are going to appreciate that you care enough not to split your attention or to rush them. So you're setting aside time that is just for them. That's really my go-to statement. When I can't address an employee concern at the very moment that they come to me, I always say, I want to set aside some time to give you the attention that this deserves. That gives them the sense that you feel like their issue is important. Now, the second part to that is we're not babysitters. And we are not robots. We cannot do everything. If we aren't constantly mediating, bickering, and nitpicking, then we can get more things done. And if we are having to mediate things all the time, that is the sign that there is a bigger issue. It could be a cultural issue. It could be a managerial issue. It could be a personality clash. But we are not referees. We need to figure out the root causes of things so that we are not spending our days trying to dismantle different issues. Now, most HR professionals know their job, and we try to do our job, and we are really good at the job. But this is a very delicate balancing act. There is no possible way that we can make everybody happy. So we have to stick to the facts. We have to be the analysis professionals of the organization. So it's just not possible for us to make everybody happy. So maybe HR is not your friend, but we try very, very hard to be your advocates.